You're listening to the Surgeons of Horror podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Its purpose is to dissect and discuss classic films, both old and also current films, the new ones, that are causing a bit of a ripple in the horror circuit. This will be the 7th installment of the Friday the 13th franchise films that we will talk about for this current podcast. It was called Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. So definitely a new direction that they were going to go with. But before we start talking about that, I probably should introduce myself. I am your host, as always, Paul Farrell, and I'm joined by Friday the 13th guru, Miles Davies.
Hello.
Hey, buddy. Welcome aboard again for this. So I can't believe we're 7 in already.
7 in.
Yeah.
Many more to go.
Many more to go. That's right. Something I would probably, I should add, actually, this is a bit of a big year for this film because it's celebrating 30 years since it kind of came out. So it was back in May 1988 where it came out.
That was the year I came to Australia.
Woohoo! So which one was the better? You know, come on. Yeah, it's Australia, isn't it? So look, so it's a big year for it. It also marks the first time that Kane Hodder donned the famous Jason mask, and his career trajectory was huge following that. Which who knew from such a somebody who was basically a stunt actor would be able to kind of make this iconic horror character his own, to the point where people so associate Jason with Kane Hodder, which is a big task.
Slow walk down pat, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just the lumbering of Jason. It was all about the sheer physicality rather than, the facial acting and what. Any kind of vocal acting.
That's right, but there's a couple of things there. Because I watched some of the behind the scenes kind of featurettes and stuff and interviews as a lead up to our discussions, and Kane is front and center of those discussions, talking about how he took on the role. Interestingly, of the previous Jasons, he was considered quite small in stature, and I'm talking about height wise, not necessarily
you look like a
physique.
Big bugger.
Yeah, he's a tall bloke, but apparently, in comparison to the guys that donned the mask before him, he was a smaller guy.
Really?
But not that you know much about that. But what I found interesting about Kane is that he was willing to take on stunts and literally throw his body on the line with certain things. And also came up with ideas as well. I don't mean to demean the previous Jasons if they did do that too. I'm just not aware of it. But I did find it interesting that some of the stuff that Kane was kind of suggesting was interesting, particularly in the climax where he's at the top of the stairs and he gets whacked with this light, and he falls. And in the original script, he's meant to fall down the stairs. And he kind of said it was his idea to fall through the stairs.
Oh, cool! It worked. It worked really well.
Yeah. So he just said, "Well, I feel like if it needs to have more impact because he just have something like that will just not catapult him that way. He's a dead weight, so he literally would just fall backwards rather than down something." So it was interesting. So things like that I found quite fascinating about.
I must say, this was the most dramatic Jason so far. He did appear to have the flair for the dramatic. The timing was perfect. Especially with the girl that gets killed. She's upstairs. Cat jumps out. She puts her hand down and feels the blood. Sees the guy's head, and then he just. Da, da, da! It's almost like, I almost expected him to come out and sing a song.
Yeah. It's a bit, I'm having flashes of Reanimator now. Not the song singing, but the talking head part. You're right. The character's name was Eddie. And the poor chap that had his head chopped off was David. there's some interesting kills in this too, and we will, as part of our what we love about the Jason films are the death scenes in it. And so we'll talk about that as part of our journey through our discussion. I think before we go on to actually talking about the kills, the one thing we haven't kind of mentioned yet is the tone of the movie. And so before I looked this up and read stuff about it, I kind of watched it and kind of went, you know what, this feels like a Jason versus Carrie.
Definitely.
And what I mean by that, and for those that haven't watched it, is that the lead character of this film is this girl who her name is Tina Shepherd. Tina. And she happens to have telekinetic powers. And so what we do is we literally get this kind of heroine character who is able to manipulate and move and distort objects. And she comes up against this kind of machine in Jason. So it's kind of like the battle of
supernatural gifts, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah.
He seems to be this supernatural, unstoppable force, and yet suddenly comes up against somebody who's got a little bit of a gift themselves. And I think she's got a bit of psychic powers as well, isn't it? So
yeah, that's right, because she starts to see stuff going ahead.
The future and stuff, and the past.
That's right. So we've got Tina Shepherd, who's basically got these kind of telekinetic powers and these psychic abilities too. And the opening of the film is quite interesting too, because it does spark up daddy issues, which is an ongoing theme in a lot of these horror films. And basically, like
mummy issues.
All mummy issues. That's true. So that's actually interesting. So that's another. Oh, that's a good point. Polar opposites. With Jason, isn't it? Interesting.
Are we making this out to be smarter than it actually is?
Yeah, we have to, man. We're going to get people watching this, thinking this is this brilliant kind of piece of film, and having them sadly lacking. Look, it is good fun, though. I have to admit, the film is fun.
Yeah.
So Tina has these abilities, and it's insinuated that the father is beating up the mum, and we only kind of see her as a young girl outside this kind of by a lake, funnily enough. And then she tries to row out into the lake, and the dad's kind of shouting at her, and she uses her mind to destroy the wharf that he's standing on, and in doing so, everything kind of collapses on him, and he's killed. In the process. And then we cut to her later on, don't we? When she's older and she's still going through these issues. She's supposedly been let out of her psych ward. She's accompanied with her mum and the doctor who's looking after her, and they take her back to her family home, which happens to be where this lake is. And it's actually in her own psychic reawakening that she resurrects Jason from the lake again. And that's how he's brought back into the world. Because in the last movie, we see him at the bottom of the lake, don't we?
He is. He's chained to the bottom of the lake to a fucking rock, basically.
That's it. So a kind of crowbar way of kind of getting him out of the lake again and back on his rampage, as it were.
Lots of bubbles. Remember the fart joke?
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I like it.
Power to throw farts.
So good. In jokes, everyone. In jokes.
Yeah.
if Bullet Pudding ever do this, it'll all kind of come to light.
You'll see it. Yes.
That's it. So look. Let's. I guess that kind of sets up the premise of where they're at, and it just so happens that the next door neighbours, or kind of just across the road from where they are, is a whole load of partying teenagers, as it were.
Parties.
Yeah. So again, very similar to the end of 6.
Yes.
Is that right? With 6, where in that instance, Tommy Jarvis. Am I 6 or 4? So 4. I'm trying to. They're all kind of blending in together now.
Yeah.
The end of 4, where
they're staying next to the partying teenagers.
Exactly. Yeah. Same kind of premise, but in this instance, we have
we've got Carrie.
We have Carrie. That's right.
AKA Tina.
That's it. So let's look at the death scenes as they unfold. I guess that's probably the best way of kind of plowing through this. So the first person, that's right. The first people we see getting killed are the couple. Two of the sex crazed teenagers who haven't quite made the house of six, or the sex party. They're kind of on their way there. And the first victim is Jane, and she's with her boyfriend Michael, and Michael kind of wanders off a bit. And that's right, to take a piss. That's right, of course. And she ends up getting a tent spike in her neck, impaling her to a tree. So again, like that, again, they do play on this kind of Jason has these signature kills, like this through the neck,
and a big arsenal of hardware tools, basically.
That's it.
I don't know where he got the tent peg from. So.
No,
none of them are camping. No, he suddenly has this brand new shiny chrome tent.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point.
They're all staying in houses.
In houses,
nobody's camping unless he randomly found a brand new chrome shiny tent.
Yeah, that's true. Because like I'm jumping ahead, but the next couple he kills are campers. But that doesn't make sense because it's out of sync. So, yeah. Anyway, so look, Michael, the boyfriend, then comes back from taking his leak. He sees Jane attached to the tree. Turns around, and sees Jason kind of running through him, and he's killed with the same tent spike, basically thrown into his back as he tries to run away.
I think they forgot that they weren't making Friday the 13th Part 3 and 3D for this.
Yeah, that's true.
So they went, did anybody bring the 3D camera? I'm like, no.
That's all right. We'll work it out. We'll work it out and edit. It'll be fine. So then we get the other two campers, as I said. The first guy's name is Dan. He's basically, this is quite a good shot actually. He gets killed with Jason thrusting his hand through the guy's body and then breaks his neck. It was quite a cool shot, that one, from memory. Nice and gratuitous, and and then the girl.
Like the next one.
The next one is hilarious. Yeah, people may often have seen these in GIFs that turn up.
Yes.
Because basically Judy, the girlfriend, is inside the tent in her sleeping bag, waiting for a bit of boom chicka wow wow, and then unexpectedly gets Jason kind of crashing through the tent, grabs her because she tries to hide in the sleeping bag, and he basically just picks her up and just twats her into the side of the tree. It's just so funny. Oh man!
But he did that in Hatchet too, not Hatchet 2, but in Hatchet,
in the Hatchet film,
as well.
Yeah.
And where he picks somebody up by the legs and he just twats them against the side of a tree.
It's
and
so
he
good.
Does it in a really brutal way as well. But the same guy, Kane Hodder.
Kane Hodder, that's right. In his other franchise films, he owns it, man. Twat him against a tree.
I twat people against trees.
Oh man, that's too good.
Yeah, that's a classic. I've seen that in so many memes. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah. It's pricelessly funny. It's just the casualness of the way he goes about it as well.
I know. I was sitting there. I was rewatching it on the train.
Yeah.
And I swear most of the people sort of shifted away from me when I started giggling to myself. What is wrong with you, you psycho? You gotta watch it. It's funny, man.
Oh, it's so easy. Oh dear. Anyway, so look. So then we get the next couple that get dispatched. We have Russell, who's like this rich guy. He's the one that, whose uncle owns the cabin that everyone's staying in. He gets killed by an axe to the face. Nice and gruesome. And then the girlfriend to Russell, it sounds like he's just only into the money rather than the sex. She actually gets pulled in under the water, doesn't she, and drowned.
Oh yeah, there's a Jaws moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, suddenly fucking Jason's Jaws.
That's it.
It's like boom.
It's
I
actually,
half expected to hear the da-na, da-na, da-na.
I can't remember. I can't remember which one it was now, but I remember talking about. It's Steve Miner when he was so Friday the 13th Part 2. He was the one that said that to him Jason was Jaws on land. And that's how he went about it. So it was always, he is a predator that goes out hunting, semi-clad chicks and guys who are after sex, essentially. But and he would always do that.
Really saw him until the end as well.
That's right. So that was always his approach. So it's funny you're saying about Jaws and and the water kind of scene. Then we get poor Maddie. She's the next one that gets killed. So she's the one that's like the innocent kind of chick who then decides she's got her eye on.
Oh, is that the Maddie, the rat face girl?
Yeah. So she's got her eye on
herself up, tarts herself
up. Yeah, that's it. And that's if only she stayed plain Jane,
exactly.
she may have survived.
Although she's probably the only one who died a virgin.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. But the insinuation of sex was there. So, but that's it. You wanted it? Nah, you're not gonna have it. So what? She actually shows a little bit of smarts though in trying to get away from Jason. I found, she does a few things to try and get away. She somehow ends out in almost like this outhouse kind of shack.
Yeah.
And she keeps kind of crawling under this kind of dirt hole to kind of, go under the wall and hide from him and then come back through and then back again. And we're kind of seeing stuff it's shot really well, actually. So it's almost like the wall is like the split screen effect of it. And then Jason ends up coming up and
punching his way through the
wall. Yeah. And then he slices her in the stomach.
Oh, with the side.
With the side, yeah. Nice. But interestingly, it looks like, I think I was looking here in the notes that I'm looking at on this website, said it appears that she was actually sliced in the neck when we see her a bit later on, which kind of a bit of continuity.
They didn't show much of the actual brute, there's no blood and guts. No. The Tom Savini effects are long since gone.
Yeah.
So they've saved their money and they've put it into telekinetic effects instead.
Yeah, that's right. So, that's right.
Which is a shame because, I remember talking to a guy, and I said, "Oh, I really want to make a horror film." And he goes, "You know what? The first thing you do." This is Mick Jones, the first day.
Yeah.
And I said, "I really want to make this horror film. What do you reckon I should shoot it on?" And he goes, "Doesn't matter what you shoot it on. Just make it really fucking bloody and gory."
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's the way, isn't it? And they kind of are skipping these sort of sections. They're insinuating them, but they're not really showing them. And I think that's probably why. I mean, this is a great film, but it kind of it's not as good as the first one because you don't have the same Tom Savini and the first. What was the next one that he did? And that's where it sort of fell by the wayside. Really, like the first one was just so gratuitous.
Yeah.
That it just smacked you in the face. Basically, everything else was going on with it, like the music and stuff. And the acting and the sheer originality of the slasher, the horror film, but just the gruesome gore of it.
Yeah.
You don't quite get that with this so far. I would have loved to see the scythe going through whatever
Oh yeah, that would have been so good. It was so it was Friday the 13th, the final chapter. So that was number 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it just explains that's right, the skull cap and all the rest of the.
That's right.
And stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, you're right. It's lost a lot of edge in this movie, and the other interestingly, I was reading up again just before we kind of started recording on this, and admittedly this was on Wikipedia, so take it as a pinch of salt. But apparently, according to the whoever wrote in there, is that when they were touting the idea for this, they were looking at sales at this point. Prior to this, Friday the 13th franchise was starting to bleed, no pun intended, and not kind of making the money that they were hoping to get out of it. Whereas at the time we had a certain Freddy Krueger kind of making waves.
Yes.
1984 was when Freddy first came into the scene with a Nightmare on Elm Street, and so he was really hot. Probably come like 4 years later, like, we're 1988 here, and this was the first time they touted the idea of doing a crossover of Freddy versus Jason. It never happened, obviously, but that's when they then went, well, what about Freddy versus? Yeah, and so instead they kind of went, what about Jason versus Carrie kind of idea?
Oh, okay.
And so that kind of came up with that. So look, as I said, pinch of salt, because I don't know how concrete that is. Because Wikipedia is not the best of Bible sources, but I did find that interesting all the same.
It does sound quite familiar though. Like I know that they'd been kind of planning the battle off the two of them for quite some time.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, even like we've been recently talking about the Evil Dead franchise, and that's it. Ash was the other one that kind of came into the fray with the Freddy versus Jason versus Ash concept. I think there's a comic series that kind of intertwines them as well.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, look, interesting way they always try and cross them over. I don't know whether that is such a good thing, because I think they kind of live in their own way, in their own right.
They do. I've always just sort of mocking them in a way.
Yeah,
I think that's where like Freddy versus Jason kind of it wasn't really a horror film more than a
comedy
battle, battle royale.
Yeah,
between the two of them, and you're sort of cheering on which is your favorite Psycho.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Anyway,
mine was always on Jason.
Of course. So let's look at the last kind of I guess 6 or so kills. I think there are, or maybe a little bit more. So after Maddie, we have we get a couple more of the teens. We get the African American couple, Ben and Kate.
Yes,
are the ones that kind of
black kids in the world.
Oh yeah. So we get Ben. Oh, the acting. Anyway, Ben basically, they're out in their little wagon, aren't they?
Yeah, the shag wagon.
They're
all just having a massive orgy at that particular time. They're just, whoever's not actually hooked up with anybody is roaming around in between, moans in various
moans and groans. So Ben is. So he kind of goes out of the van and he gets his head crushed by Jason's bare hands.
But that's the thing I don't get about this particular part.
Yeah.
Is that he's in there, he's having sex.
Yeah.
Somebody bangs on the side of the van and he goes, I'm going to go and get him. And the girlfriend goes, well, hurry up.
Yeah.
And goes off. And he goes, jumping out of the van, I'm going to get you, I'm going to tickle you.
Yeah, because he thinks he's
what he's going to do. He's going to go and fart ass around with his friend while he's halfway through coitus.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you boys, just hurry back."
I know it's
this moment.
Yeah, it's a pretty poor dip in this film at this point.
Yeah.
Especially with the way actually it is kind of funny in the way Kate's killed.
Yes.
Because Ben goes out with one of those kind of party
he goes,
blowers.
Get you.
Yeah, and then and so when Kate's kind of trying to look for him out the window, and because Ben hasn't come back yet, she pops her head out of the van window, only to have this party horn blower thing shoved into her eye.
Yeah.
And we get a shot of her a bit later on, kind of strewing up a tree with this party popper just sticking out of her eye. Very funny. Then we come to the couple that you alluded to earlier. We have David, the stoners, basically.
Yeah.
Of the group, and he goes off for his munchies, only to kind of come face to face with a butcher knife into his stomach. And he actually gets beheaded too, which we don't actually see. We just see his head. Or I should say Eddie, the girl, comes across the head. We cut down to Eddie downstairs, who's the one guy who's kind of been kind of left on his own. And then it's Christmas time, isn't it, or something? And he goes to the tree or something. And there's presents. Anyway, I think he sees these presents, and then that's when he gets his neck sliced while he's trying to open these gifts up by Jason, who comes from behind. Oh, that sounds wrong. Innuendo. Yeah. So then we come back to Robin, who's the other chick, And probably the most notable thing that people remember about Robin is that she is the token girl who gets her tits out. And is kind of noticed for the size of her breasts, I guess. We've got to have them. I mean, the growing trend, especially after was it Jason again 5, I think, kind of was the porn one, the really bad porn one, soft porn.
Yeah.
From that moment on, like, it was always, you got to have some actress has to actually get her tits out. So she ends up getting thrown through the window. Another bit of a signature move from Jason. Actually, he likes to throw some windows. He loves these windows.
Whether he's diving through them or he's throwing people through them.
Yeah, that's right. So then the last kind of few people that get killed is poor Tina's mum, Amanda Shepherd. She with
the world's worst haircut.
Oh, I loved her hair, man. What are you talking about? No, I am joking.
Both of them do have the world's worst 80s haircuts.
Absolutely.
Those haircuts were never ever going to be in style beyond 1988.
Do you know what?
Just reached the pinnacle of that particular time.
That's so true.
And they never will be in fashion again. It's awful.
There was the opening scene, from the film. We don't actually really see Amanda, Tina's mum, only from the water's edge when she comes running out, kind of screaming because the wolf things collapsed, and we just get this silhouetted woman, like she's got denim jeans and this hairdo. And I was just like, is that for real? Is that, and when we see her later on, you go, oh, right, it is for real.
It's the fullet.
Yeah. Okay.
She had the full Billy Ray Cyrus fullet.
Totally and utterly. So it's only fair that she should get dispatched, I think.
Yes, exactly.
For daring to grace the celluloid screen with such a hideous do. And interestingly, she's also one of the characters that Tina gets a premonition of having this spear through her, and we do kind of go, how's that going to work? You kind of want to see how that unfolds, and interestingly, it's not quite how we originally see it, but in her premonition, but it's the Doctor that literally throws her on in death's path, essentially. And the coward he is kind of uses her as a shield, and then gets away. Only that he's going to get his due though, because this is hilarious because I'm just remembering what happens to him. So the Doctor ends up getting kind of chased by a tree trimming saw.
Oh, that's right.
Through the woods, and it also unfolds how he's had hidden intentions. Death by whippersnipper. I don't know. We never called them whippersnippers in the UK, though, did we? Like, it's Australian term. Fly nose, yeah. I always called them trimmers, or so I don't. Anyway, when I came out here, whippersnipper. So he does end up getting killed in it, whippersnipper to the stomach is how he ends up getting killed. His character had a lot of hidden intentions too. He wasn't going by the book, he was.
Yeah, she found the tape with him talking about him wanting to start up his own little X-Men type thing.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But the guy who played him, was that from Kill Bill? Is he Buck Who Really Can Fuck? Or Buck Who Loves to Fuck? Was that him?
Hold on, because I have got these.
He looks like him.
I've got these people.
I'm probably way off, because it's
you're right.
10 years. It's not Terry Kaiser.
It's Terry Kaiser. Yeah, that's the guy's name.
Yeah,
and he was in Weekend at Bernie's. That's how I knew his face. Is he? But he's not Bernie, is he?
Oh, he might be.
Hold on a moment. I'm just having a moment of fuck, is that Bernie? Weekend of Bernie's, Bernie Lomax.
No way!
What? Awesome. He's Bernie.
I knew I'd seen him before.
Yeah, same.
Where have I seen that guy before?
It. Fucking Bernie.
Bernie.
Love it. That is legend.
That is a classic.
Apparently he was in. Apparently he was in
about like 6 months later.
Yeah, Weekend at so 1989 Weekend at Bernie's came out.
Holy shit! Yeah. His biggest role today, and he didn't have to do anything.
No,
except pretend to be dead.
That's. There's a lot of slapstick involved in that one. You know, give the guy a little bit of credit. he apparently was in Mannequin 2 as well. How funny!
Oh no way!
That was a tragic film. Cool. But what was the original question? Sorry, you kind of deviated.
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill. I can't see Kill Bill there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, can't see it. That's not to say I might.
No, I think he's too old for Kill Bill. But he kind of looked like the guy who played Buck, in the hospital.
Yes, I know who you mean. Yeah, I know who you mean.
One with the pussy wagon.
Yeah.
But okay. No, I knew I'd seen him before, but
that was it.
It was Bernie Lomax.
That was like I just
awesome.
felt like I've just had
to go and watch Weekend at Bernie.
Me too. Just having this gold mine moment. I want to go back and watch that. Okay, the last person that gets killed is Melissa. So she's the bitch queen kind of woman who just
bitch as well.
The dumb bitch.
Goes, I'm not listening to any of you guys. I'm going.
Yeah.
There's a homicidal maniac out there. I don't care.
That's right.
Just sort of opens the door, stands there, and waits for this big lumbering guy to slam an axe in her head.
That's it.
He's there for about 10 minutes. It must have been like the no moment in Austin Powers. I was waiting for that to happen. It was like watching that.
Too good.
That piece of lava, that rolling piece of lava, take that car this week.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
Time lapse, and you go. The car must have been standing there for like half an hour, just going no. It was like somebody just. Move the car. Move the car.
I'm just filming though. I just want to see this.
My car. It's my car.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, too good. So yeah, she gets an axe to the face as for her penance for being such a bitch.
Yes.
It's interesting to there's pockets through that what we've kind of scared because we've been focusing on the kills. There are two survivors of this film in Tina, the girl with the psychic abilities and the telekinetic abilities, plus her bit of a bow kind of squeeze guy, Nick. And it's basically those two at the end trying to fight for survival in the house. So they basically kind of they do the whole, don't run up the stairs and get away. Oh, we're going to go up the stairs. But interesting, coming back to what I was saying about one of the stunts is that they managed to kind of, use this kind of light shade to kind of swing at him, and
like Jason jumping through the window.
Jason went through the window.
He was going to just burst into show tunes. I was like, why did you jump through the window, Jason? It was at least several foot off the ground. You must have just taken a big run up and then had a big trampoline.
Yeah,
let you go. Ta-da! I'm here.
If you slow that down, he was very close to having his Star Wars Stormtrooper moment.
Oh right.
He's really close to the top of that roof.
Oh, nice.
He just got through. Yeah, it's interesting. And he even said that was obviously it was one take as well because they had to kind of crash through that, and it was quite a small window that he had to jump through. So he just said it was pretty tight kind of fit.
Oh look, it looked fantastic, but it was completely unnecessary.
No, absolutely.
In logic terms, you kick the door open.
That's right.
Leaping several a story up because they're quite high. They're quite high up because there's steps up to the front door.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I don't know.
There's
throwing logic in there. I'm throwing logic.
You're throwing
in there.
logic. You're throwing
sense.
logic into a Friday the 13th film. How dare you? How very dare you? So look, they do a lot of kind of fights and stuff in this. There's a bit when somehow I can't remember how Nick gets he gets kind of knocked out of the scene, doesn't he? He kind of gets knocked to the ground and unconscious. But there's a bit where it looks like Jason's going to try and kill him, and then she starts using her powers again, and the mask starts to tighten around his head, and you can see it kind of push. And he turns around and it just cracks open. You see his deformed face underneath. That was a really cool moment. I like that.
That was cool. And then the wire comes down from the light fitting and it garrots him basically. So
that's it. Yeah, there's some good stuff. And somehow how does the floor open up? Like it somehow kind of smashes through the floor, doesn't it?
She smashes the floor open or something.
Yeah.
And he just drops down into it. And I'm like, that's not really good, is it?
That's right.
She's already drowned him at one stage and electrocuted him.
Yes.
Just dropping him a story down into a basement.
Yeah.
He's not going to do much, is it?
No, that's right. I forgot that bit earlier on where she tries to drown him, electrocute him. In a puddle. I really like that scene, and I like it. And the reason I like it is the shocked look on Jason's face as to what the fuck moment.
Yes, exactly.
I love
and he has a couple of those moments because he's still going, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
She's picking on me. All I want to do is kill her.
I know. It's a brilliant moment, and it's a good kind of comedy, kind of quirky moment in a very macabre setting. And I loved it. I thought it was genius, that bit. And I forgot about that earlier. I thought about it when we were talking about it, but then
even when the TV's sort of flying at him as well, he's like, what the fuck? I don't get it.
What's going on?
He's got like a teeny tiny psychopath brain.
Yeah.
Capable of understanding.
No, that's right.
Just accept, Jason. Just
accept.
You can accept the many plot holes and many logical disasters throughout the film. Just accept that some chick can make things move with a mind.
That's right. And speaking of illogical things, the climax of this film is highly illogical.
Yes.
But we will go with it just for the sake of our podcast. In the sense that, so the battle kind of ends up in the bottom of this basement. There happens to be one of those old school kind of fire things in there. She uses petrol to kind of ignite him with the fire, essentially, drawing the fire out from it. He's on fire. The house is on fire. She somehow manages to get out with Nick. They end up back on the wharf. So a cyclical pattern here where she's
full
back
circle.
Full circle, where she lost her dad. And then he crops up again, old Jason. So he's gotten out of the fiery blaze. He again
slightly singed.
Slightly singed, yeah, slightly. He somehow kind of gets Nick out of the picture again without killing him again.
Yes.
and then there's this kind of final confrontation. Tina, you're wondering how the fuck is Tina getting out of this, and she does it by summoning the spirit of her dead father, who comes out of the lake, drags Jason back down into him and drowning him. So a bit of a nod to the first movie, but instead of it being the mum, Jason coming out and killing the Alice character in it, it's a bit of a switch in that it's her dead father, pulling him under the water and back under, into Crystal Lake to be buried under its murky depths of the water, and never to be seen again. Also, we think.
Yeah. So was it a ghost or was it an actual? Was the actual dad? Because the dad was a little bit dirty, but it wasn't. It must have been 10 years that he was down in the murky depths.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, after 10 years of being dead in the water.
Yeah,
he's not going to be looking quite as fresh as he looked.
No, he did look a bit fresh.
He had a couple of green marks on his face, and his clothes were a little bit less than perfect. But you know, if it was physically impossible.
Yes.
Plus, summoning ghosts from the dead, just doesn't make sense, especially considering he was absolutely able to make shit move in a more of a way than Patrick Swayze. I mean, this is no Patrick Swayze moving a penny moment. This is like diving out
I can't believe
rotting as a 7-foot psychopath.
I can't believe you brought Ghost into this conversation. Yeah. It is. Was he? Maybe she channeled Whoopi Goldberg to be the dad to come up out of the water and
could have been
pull him
Whoopi
under
Goldberg.
Maybe it was Whoopi.
Like the dad.
I think it was. I think that's what
maybe
it was. Yeah. I think we worked it out.
Oscar
That's it. They were, speaking of Oscar, they had grand plans for this film to be nominated as an Academy. Apparently so.
What?
I think they were on for a gold mine of, Battle of Wits or I don't know. I've no idea. But yeah. Anyway, so look, the very climax of this film is always, they tend to always have the day after kind of the morning is broken, yes. Evil has kind of submerged along with the darkness of the night.
You find the fireman picking up the broken mask.
That's right, yeah. and
he's going to have to. He needs a new mask for the next one.
He will. I don't know how he's going to do that.
I don't know. If he's got an arsenal of hardware tools and is ready, because he seemed to find a whippersnipper.
That's right.
A big shiny. I don't know what that was. It looks like a hooked machete type thing on a pole. Yes. Tent pegs, shiny brand new tent pegs, a couple of axes, another machete, and some various other things. I think he had a spear gun as well.
Yeah, he had a spear gun. That's right.
Found all of these tools.
I don't know. Just picks them up.
Very resourceful.
He is
psychopathic being. Obviously, there's a hardware store, aka maybe like a Bunnings type thing, where they do sausages and stuff.
They might. They might. Hopefully, they do because he needs to keep up his energy for his rampage.
He's a growing lad.
He's a growing lad. Before I ask you about your thoughts on the film and we kind of wrap this up, I should probably just mention that John Cole Beekler, he's pronounced his surname, was the director of this. He was also a bit of an actor, and he delved in special effects and makeup artist. So that kind of lends itself to why he kind of knew what he was doing with some of the effects. I say actor because he crops up in Hatchet and Hatchet 2. Which is the other, Kane Hodder franchise that we kind of were talking about a little bit earlier as well. If you look at his directing career, you probably would. The only two really that stand out, and these aren't necessarily good things, is just before this he made the film Troll in 1986.
Oh, cool!
And he was also behind Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College.
Cool.
In 1991.
I like these films.
Yeah.
They're quite good.
So, apart from that, he didn't really kind of make much of a dent, as I said, on the film circuit. Although he did do the special effects, or had a hand on the special effects in the film From Beyond, as well.
Oh, cool.
So I definitely wanted to kind of mention him. The other thing is just to say that La Park Lincoln, who played the character of Tina, would if people recognise her, she of our generation anyway, recognise her face. She was in Knots Landing for between 1987 and 1991. So and then we get good old Kevin Spertus, who played the character of Nick. I knew his face rang a bell, and that's because he played Roy in The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. He was the biker guy that goes around, the hero essentially, and so that kind of made me go, oh yeah, that's right. So
and now we found out Bernie as well.
And Bernie, awesome.
biggest star of the bunch.
yeah, that's right, Bernie. So the obviously Kane Hodder would then, as we said, go on to massive stuff, and we've mentioned the times he's played Jason, and he's also spawned another franchise, as we mentioned in the Hatchet series, is playing Victor Crowley. He actually also played Leatherface as well during doing the stunts for Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
Oh, is it the new one or the no?
No. This was the third film of the franchise. Okay. So going back a bit, it's probably one of the lesser known movies of that franchise. And he's also cropped up. Excuse me. He's also cropped up in that recent film where it was like the who's who of horror films. Horror, actors. And was it called Death House or something like that? I've probably got that wrong now. It's only just come out. It's like it's come out on demand, but I don't think we've got it out here in Australia yet. He's obviously a huge player, and he's brought so much to the genre too. And he's always at these horror circuits, and going out and doing stuff. Oh, he cropped up in The Devil's Rejects as well. I've forgotten that as well. So so lots of kind of bits and pieces coming along there. So let's round this thing up. So what were your final thoughts on number 7? Where did you sit with it?
This is always one of my favourites, actually. I really like it. It's just a lot of fun because it's just, it's got that extra element to it. It's not just Jason turns up, kills a bunch of teenagers. Yeah. It's got the whole telekinetic thing. And having that... I always found it really funny, actually, because of the whole whipper snipper thing. And then, there's the bit where she throws the pot plant with the head in, and it headbutts him.
That's right.
That's hilarious. I was like, they must have been making this with a bit of tongue-in-cheek, and they had a lot of fun doing so. Yeah. And so, I got they stuck to the rules of the such a horror film, but still they had a bit of fun with it, and they weren't taking... It didn't seem like they were taking themselves too seriously with it, which is good. And, but I thought it was a fun film. Yeah. It was shot well, and, it looked good, and... Yeah. As I was saying before, I would much prefer to see a bit more gore and stuff in it. But, but other than that, it had a lot going on with it. And, lots to talk about with this one.
There is, and that's the thing. Like, and I think we both said we liked 6 as well, didn't we? The one that came before this, because it kind of was a nod to the old Frankenstein kind of movies, but it kind of had that right kind of blend, and so. It kind of pulled Jason back out into the brink of things a bit, really, and kind of to the forefront of the horror films again, because 5 was so woeful. There are people out there that love 5, by the way. I don't get it, but there are people that like 5. Yeah. And then 6 to me kind of, as I said, reawakened it a little bit, so that when we get to 7, it's not quite as good as 6, I don't think. But it's still kind of moving it felt like it was trying to go in a different direction. And I applaud it for trying to do the, telekinesis kind of element to it. Did throw a different kind of angle to it, kind of made it a bit interesting. So if we look at 7 across the movies we've looked at so far, where would you place it?
Oh, look, it's in my top 3.
Okay.
I like the first one. 6 is great, but it goes. Seven's a close second to me. So 7's a second for me.
Okay, nice.
It was just something that really struck a chord with this.
Yeah.
I think it was the extra element where you finally came up against a bit of competition rather than frightened teenagers.
That's true.
He really had somebody who was just going to kick his backside, basically, and that was quite interesting. It's probably one of the reasons why I don't mind the Jason versus Freddy thing, because he actually finally has somebody up against worth.
Interesting.
Yeah, no, it was good. I dug it.
You're going to throw that gauntlet out there just as we sign off.
Man.
Cool. I enjoyed it too. I have to admit, it was. I don't know whether I'd place it as high as you would. I'd definitely put it on, upper middle amongst them. But we've still got 8, 9, and 10 to go yet before we and the remake before we kind of look back at the franchise as a whole. But at the moment, it's definitely hovering a bit higher, I would say. Cool. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our discussions on the Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. Do join us again when we come back and talk about the next installment where he takes Manhattan, apparently.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Muppets.
I don't know where he takes it.
Yeah.
Takes it on holiday. Takes
it on holiday. Come on.
Let's go to Spain.
That's it. Let's go to the sun. I'm sick of being by the water. I want some urban culture. Okay, so look, that wraps us up. Thanks again for joining us again to talk about these movies, Miles. A pleasure as always.
Thank you.
And we hope you listeners out there enjoy our discussions and do come back and listen to some more. Until next time, I'm Paul Farrell, and this is Miles Davies. Goodbye.
Bye.
You're listening to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Music supplied by Peter Nezik. For more discussions or podcasts, head over to surgeonsofhorror.com or head over to our Facebook and Twitter sites for the latest news and updates.